Yes, talking about the weather is boring, but since there's little other information to cover in the diary of Ellie McCullough, we go with the weather since she's mentioned it several times, being quite warm and then a few times where it rained very hard. The weather, this is from the Ypsilanti commercial, Saturday, June 13th, 1874. We have had enough rain since the 5th to please the most exacting. The supply was so copious in Detroit as to do a good deal of damage in overflowing cellars. Prior to this time, the weather was fearfully dry. We have had heavy showers accompanied with terrific lightning and thunderclaps, which is exactly what happened this morning in that general region since I'm just east of Ypsilanti. Last Monday night, there was a general illumination of the heavens for hours. Tuesday evening, about 7:30 o'clock, the western sky wore the most beautiful vermilion tints. The earth, buildings, etc., were illuminated in grand style, while over the eastern sky spanned a lovely rainbow. Several houses in the city and vicinity have been struck by lightning. I assume they haven't employed the use of lightning rods on roofs at that point. On Sunday, a tree near Mr. Smith's and O. Strong's residences, I believe that says residences, was shivered, the lightning penetrating the houses, ripping the paper on the walls and breaking windows. Though there were several persons in Mr. Smith's house, fortunately no one was in the room visited by the swift messenger, and thus no lives lost. The worshippers in several congregations in the city were startled. Reverend Mr. Boyden was engaged in prayer and very impressively alluded to the fact of the frequent unexpected transitions from life to death. The fields are now clothed in living green. All nature and animate and inanimate feels the impulse and life imparted by these showers. Today, Friday, the rain is apparently over, and the atmosphere is pure, cool, and refreshing. Frank Smith wishes it understood that the lightning has not struck his goods, that his immense stock is in good condition, ready for the inspection of the purchaser, and that his Crusade beer is a popular drink just now. And considering that the Ypsilanti commercial was in favor of both temperance and the women's suffrage movement, which were somewhat tied together by the fact that women led both of these crusades, I assume that the Crusade beer is some sort of near beer or even a replacement of beer with some kind of, I'm not sure what kind of near beer there was in 1874. But I guess I can type it into the search function and see if we get some near beer. 1874 from the books. Near beer, hop beer. A treatise on the modern law of evidence. Flora of Plymouth and the count. No, I ain't seeing anything. History of Michigan brewing. We Want Beer, National Prohibition, Part 1, Beer History. Come on, load. We want beer. Control, find. Near beer. For the man not too handy with the homebrew, there were other alternatives. Hundreds of brewers across the country were licensed to produce by brewing real beer, then boiling off the alcohol to conform to the 0.5% limit. Not surprisingly, a goodly share of the real stuff never made it to the de-alcoholizer. either by clever deceit of the brewer or by greed of the crooked prohibition agent. This is later on, obviously. My guess was that the Crusade beer was probably a near beer, where it was low in alcohol and thus ineffectual for those seeking to get drunk. I know that near beer was really popular in the pre-prohibition days, as mothers were actually giving it to their children to help them sleep. There's a old Budweiser advert where they talked about, and it shows a baby drinking a Budweiser, which was a near beer, their version of the near beer, whatever date that was, and said for a good night's sleep for both baby and parents, give the child some near beer or whatever the exact terminology was, but yeah. So it was safe enough for children to drink, so I assume that's what they're talking about in this article of Crusade beer. That's all.